40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30. 29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12. 11. 10.
9. 8.
7. 6. 5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Hi, and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty, fresh take on politics. And we're going to have a really fun show tonight. I mean, it's going to be interesting, as you saw on the preview. I just got late word tonight. I've been asking Julie McGuire for like 3 or 4 weeks about coming on our show, and no response. And finally, I just kept bugging her, and then I got a response of, well, I got to check with my campaign people. And then so tonight, their campaign guy called me and said, oh, we never committed to it. I said, well, I know you didn't, but this is me as a promoter. I'm trying to promote that. So this is in no way her issue. I think she wanted to appear, but I just don't think her people were going to let her. In fact, hey, tomorrow, if you listen to the Rob Kendall show, I'm going to do a little recording with him tomorrow to talk about it, because I went to an event with her tonight, another one. And we were going to ask questions, and Rob had given me some questions, and Spiro, one of our loyal viewers here, printed them out, and I actually gave them to her because I couldn't do it. I'm not as mean as Rob Kendall. I couldn't read all those questions and ask her that. Plus, I didn't get my question until the very end. So, it's like, yeah. So tomorrow I'm going to be recording we're going to talk about it tomorrow. Rob Kendall's going to play it on his show later on. I think we're recording it at 8:30. So it's going to be interesting. But she would not be here tonight. But we are hoping to get Micah on. He's out on the road doing the same thing she's doing, and he's going to be calling in from his phone. But I got a special thing for you because I'm prepared for this. So we have Joseph Borka, and you're probably thinking, Joseph Borka, who the heck is that? A Russian spy or something? I mean, where'd you get this Borka guy? I mean, come on. Hey, I'll tell you what. This young man, he is a very, very hard worker. He is taking it upon himself to dig into how the process works, how the system works. And he's trying to get some resolutions passed at the state convention this weekend. And this attempt was made last convention from the floor. This group had made a motion that we want to hear these resolutions, and the floor never recognized them. So this year they've come back more prepared, and they have met with the state party chairs people and all these people, and they're trying to get their motions heard. I'll let him explain a lot more than that. That's about the best I can do. But he's going to come on first, and we're going to do a little bit of that. But we're going to have a special edition show on Thursday. And if you're interested in this topic, come on that show. You can ask questions about this. You can find out what the heck is a resolution and all that. But I'm going to go ahead and bring Joseph on here. Let's see. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Joseph, how are you this evening?
Good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on, John.
Hey, I love it. I love it. I like to see people asking questions. And, I think a lot of these politicians aren't used to a smart young man like you asking these kind of smart questions. And I think they're sort of scratching their head a little bit on things. So we're going to have you on here till, Micah comes on. We're going to talk a little bit about what you're doing. And then we're going to talk about the promotion of this show. And you're not a Russian spy, right?
No, I have a pretty American accent, and
Okay,
I don't think you can really fake that.
So does a good spy. A good spy has a good accent too.
Yeah,
You know? So
I guess
now
so.
Borka, is that Borka? What background?
It is Slavic. It's I think all the immigration cards say Poland, but it's that those borders are changing all the time.
Oh yeah,
over
I
there
just
in that
like.
part of the world.
Well,
So,
you've been over here for a while, but I love the name.
100 years or so.
It's good. So anyway, so you've got this little project going here, and you've been working on. How long you been working on this?
Well, pretty much since the Republican Party convention chairman last year decided he was going to flout the rules and violate the delegates' rights at the last convention. So I've been thinking about this for a long time and how to approach this. But I mean, it really boils down to there's a large portion of the Republican electorate who feels like they're being shut out by the people that they've worked for and voted in.
No, I don't. I would never suspect them of doing that. And it's like, well, it's sort of like our guest tonight. Julie McGuire. It's like I asked her handler, well, how much social media programming she does? Well, she's going around and meeting delegates. How much social media programming as she does? Well, she's active on social media. How many programs? So she's not done anything that's public. She's just been going around to these events to try to swoon these people. Now tonight she did have a list of things that her and Mike want to do coming up. So at least when I read Rob Kendall's questions, a lot of those were addressed in that. So, but I think it's a matter of listening. Do you feel like you are being listened to by these party officials? Or, I mean, you did have a meeting with the powers. Yeah. How did that go? And tell us how you got that.
So I think, okay, so first up, how did we get the meeting? Well, if some of you guys who are tuning in are delegates, I know we invited all of you to be on here and listen. We sent out a letter about a week ago now, basically stating our grievances, which were, a lot of it was related to what happened at the last convention, and discussing how what we want to do is create a unified effort moving forward, so us Republicans aren't fighting each other as much as we have been the last few years, especially in Indiana, but it's happening all around the country. And so, what I've done is we're presenting this proposal to the convention to actually have some discussion over these, what we feel are existential issues for the party. Chief among them is the idea of what exactly a political party is. And
good luck with that one.
There was probably about a third of our discussion that we had with the state party was really dedicated to that topic. And the reason is because these resolutions that we've proposed, they're not directly addressing that, but they cut to the core of what the disagreement between many of the people that are the state party officials and a lot of rank and file Republicans. And that fundamentally is the state party seems to think that the core job of the Republican Party apparatus is winning elections and stop. What I think the majority of Republican voters think they're getting when they vote for Republicans is Republicans claim to stand for certain policy that they say they're going to implement during election season, and then they count on their vote to mean this person is going to advocate for this idea that I'm voting for him because of it. Or even more, knocking doors, spending money for as campaign donations. We believe that the political party's platform is a contract between the people running for office under that party and the voter.
Oh, darn. You mean a republic that has a representative that's supposed to represent you? What a concept. That's a great concept till you add people. Okay, so I'm going to get one question here from Spiro. He wants to know, we're going to answer this one. What is a resolution? Go ahead and explain to our viewers what your resolution is, and then I want to bring on the panel, and then I'm going to let them ask a few questions.
Okay. So a resolution is a formal statement by a deliberative assembly And a deliberative assembly, if you pay attention to your etymology, is just a body that deliberates to come to a decision. And these types of bodies can include a session of the legislature. They can include business organizations, shareholder meetings, the general assemblies of various religious groups. There's all kinds of deliberative assemblies, and a convention is one of those. And so a resolution is a formal statement from this body. So the way you got to think about it is when somebody comes to one of these assemblies, they are one voice in the body, and the body should be thought of as one voice. And what you do within that deliberative assembly is come to a decision that is supposed to be the decision of the entire body. Even if there's a contested vote, well, the majority ends up winning, and that becomes the will of the body.
All right. So, and last time you had this, but you never got it to the floor, so therefore it never got voted onto the record. So, therefore you reloaded, and now you're back, new and improved. I got it. Hopefully that gets everybody. I
want to emphasize that it's not just me. I'm just kind of trying to help all of the various grassroots organizations and very active people that really care about these things. I'm trying to study these procedures and processes and help them, because I care about all these issues, but I just feel like my place is to help them with the procedural stuff, because that's where I think my strengths are and where their weaknesses are.
I know one thing. Your strengths were with the data for putting together our precinct committee mission that we had was well appreciated, and you're a sharp young man, and I appreciate. I say young, you're not that young, but you're half my age.
Confidence.
So in all seriousness, the work you do is excellent, and I know you're a contractor. You got a small child, and you got a life. And
another one on the way. We got number 2 on the way, and it's a boy. So I got to
congratulations. So that's just more work, but that's okay. You Russians or Slavics or whoever you are, you're used to having a bunch of kids and working all the time. Yeah, that's good. And that's and you're doing this just for the love of our state and for the love of the thing and to help others. So
let me just say, I want to touch on that, because I think that's a very important part of all of this. I'm in this because I see some very troubling things that are of where our country is headed. And I think a lot of us see those things happening. Where do I begin? Well, look what's happening.
Yeah, where do you begin?
We're about to get into nuclear war with Russia is what it looks like. I guess this is old news for all of you Gen Xers and older with the Cold War.
We used to have a hide under our desk. That's what the thing was in the second grade. They'd put those desks are going to protect you from a nuclear attack. But okay, Joseph, I'm gonna shut you down here because I want to get our people out here. They're the stars of this show. I'm just a mouthpiece.
Moderator.
Here. Let's go ahead. Let's bring on Brad first. Let's go across the order here. Hold on. Let me get this thing right here. Brad, what's happening?
Hey, John. How's it going?
It's going. It's good to see you. It sounds like you got your microphone stuff worked out. Maybe you should go help the White Sox get some things worked out.
I was wondering how long that was going to take.
Yeah, that's right out of the gate. I'm going to get you with that one. But that's all right. You're a loyal fan. That's good. It's good.
Yeah, but they're embarrassing. Like they lost a lot.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to lose. So
that stings. Okay.
Yeah, I know it. It's crosstown rivals, as Harry Carey would say. We beat those White Sox again. That's buds for you.
And he used to be an announcer with the White Sox too. Like the White Sox let him go to the Cubs.
Yeah, there's your problem.
Among their dumbass moves
That's right. It's like the White Sox goat curse or whatever they had. All right, let's go ahead and bring Lucy on. Lucy, look at this. I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican. You know what? I want to say a shout out to Lucy tonight. She was going to step aside because she says, not her monkey, not her circus. I said, no. We need you. We need somebody to be a bad guy. Ha, 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 ha. That was a text message. So, Lucy, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I have the best tan I've ever had in my life. So this is my real translucent white person color.
You've been out there.
I started selling plants. I finally decided at my age that I might have more years behind me than I do in front of me. So it was time to just basically tell everybody to F off and do what I want to do. So I'm selling
So
plants.
FAFO, we know what that, fool around, find out, but it's different language there. So where's Tiffany? Tiffany's coming in from Atlanta. Let's see what we have here. Let's see if I can. There we go. Now we can do that. Now we lost her. She was here a second ago, then boom, gone.
I'm right here.
Okay, we don't see your smiling face. I don't know why. Your camera not on?
She's more invisible than Bigfoot.
All right. Well, she is in an undisclosed location.
Are you serious? You can't see me? Like
no, I can see in the backstage, but
I love it. Tiffany's like, I got all dolled up for nothing.
I can see myself on the screen. Like I'm right next to Brad. You guys can't see me.
No, we can't see it. Maybe. Yeah, we can't see it. Well, hopefully the audience can, because that's what matters the most. We have
Spiro, can you see me? No.
Yeah.
I have the tan of a lifetime.
Yeah, really. It's like you're in the shadows. Hey, anybody in the nope, cannot see her. So your camera, something's going.
Let me see what's going on. I'll log out and come back in. I apologize for that.
Okay, that's all right. We can't have just a smooth show if it's Brad's microphone or my stuff screwing up or whatever. But it's an organic show. It's what it is. So to recap what we have here, we got our guest Joseph Borka. He's going to be filling in some time till Micah gets here, and we're going to talk about this resolution thing. And Joseph, we got a show this Thursday on this channel right here, Mouthwash, that goes out everywhere. And this is going to be question and answers of what we're talking about here, because we're just brushing the top. And I don't think a lot of people know that how you can get involved and that you can make a difference. One question I have for you, Joseph, is do you see I would say the people that are dissatisfied growing, staying the same, or getting less?
Oh, it's growing. And more people that were on the sidelines a few years ago are just continue to get involved because they see things are falling apart. And we better figure out how to fix our republic, or it's going to go away. And we aren't going to have this free country that we have. I mean, we're losing our freedoms more and more every day, as I'm sure Lucy is very aware of. And that's why she's done the things that she's done, is because, we're all trying to work towards making our society, more in line with the values that our founders, held, which are freedom for every human being and dignity of the human being as
they are. Well, and I would say that, we got Cassie Jackson's in the comments here, and
that's a wonderful message for Pride Month too. Like, I couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what we should have, the difference. Hey, Lucy, can you tell me the difference between freedom and liberty? I'm going to put you on the spot here.
One.
Freedom and liberty. If you were to do one? I heard somebody do this today, so you got to unmute. I mean, we're lip readers, but not that good. Okay, go ahead.
That is a really great distinction, and I'll be honest, I've never really thought about it in those kinds of terms. If I were going to go off the cuff, I would say that freedom is something that you've enumerated, that is recognized, for example, by the Constitution, whereas liberty is the freedom that's inherent in ourselves. So I have the liberty to go do whatever I want. I don't have to ask anybody's permission. But freedom is something that has been recognized. I won't say that it was given to me, because everything that I have is given to me by my creator. But the freedom would be, like freedom of speech is something that's recognized by the Constitution. But I would argue that I always have the liberty to say what I want. Yeah. But there may be consequences.
See, I knew you would have a good answer. I like putting people on the spot, but I knew that wasn't going to be too tricky for you. Somebody defined it to me as like freedom is to be able to do whatever you want, and liberty is where you have some rules that everybody sort of agrees on. Is that? I mean,
I wouldn't.
Butt in there. I think.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Responsibility. When I hear the word liberty, I'm thinking, well, yes, we have the freedom to do anything that we wish, but you cannot have liberty without free agents that choose to exercise that freedom rightly.
So maybe it's the difference of the macro versus the micro perception of the same thing. Like we have our freedoms, and liberty is how you choose to live your life based under those tenets and facets.
Yeah. And as the libertarian values are, do no harm to anybody else, and you can do what you want, right?
Non-aggression principle.
I honestly think liberty more is like you have to fight against the government that wants to insert itself into your life, though.
But that's based on your individual opinion.
Yeah, but I feel like it's more.
So we all have the
Freedom
same
is-
freedoms, and then liberty is kind of that individual interpretation, in my mind.
Yeah, well,
Right.
Lucy asked a question of Jefferson Shreve one time about, are you going to do anything to infringe upon her? That may have something to do with Julie McGuire not coming on, because honestly, I'm going to give her a fair shake on this. She wanted to come on. They would not let her come on. It was,
Who's they?
You know who they are. They.
Campaign committee.
And
Don't tell me
Tiffany,
it's because of me. Like, they can't be afraid of me. I'm
No,
just
they weren't.
out here asking
No,
questions.
it is. I think they're just. I think they just don't want to take unnecessary risk, and I can see that. So
That's smart. There have been some politicians that probably shouldn't have appeared on this show.
yeah. So I see Micah
harmless.
backstage. I see Micah
Maybe right now
backstage in his
we did a really
car.
good
He's
job on
little grinning, his little white teeth back there shining through. Joseph, we're gonna. If you want to hear more about Joseph, this is going to be a great show. It's just going to be, I don't know, panelists, you want to come on, I'll let you. But Thursday, 8 p.m., we're going to dig down into the nuts and bolts of this thing. We're going to find out the 3 main resolutions that he wants to. 4 now, all of a sudden. Look at wow, this is going to add minutes.
Dr. Stock's legislative rule changes are the 4th one.
Is Dr. Stock going to come on too, or is it just going to be
No, I'm talking about the resolutions and okay. So the focus of tomorrow, tomorrow I'm going to be going on Dion's Daily Dose at 8:00 Eastern, and then Thursday I'm coming back on Mouthwash here, and we're going to do, both of them are going to be Q&A sessions. So all the delegates have been texted this schedule, so that if they're curious about the resolutions themselves or the procedures in place and what we're doing, that they can ask questions live on the show, and I'm going to answer those, because really what we're trying to do here is educate people about the process, because when people don't know their rights, they start getting abused by the people that run the system. So what we want to do is educate as many people in their rights as we can, and get educated and strong citizens to, run our society. So with that, I guess I'll leave you to Micah.
Okay, well, I'm going to give Micah such a warm welcome here with Small Talk. I mean, he is going to love this introduction that Mark Small gives him. They kicked Ken Colbert out of the party for much less than some of the things that have been said on this show. So we're going to do the Mark Small Talk, and then we'll have Mike on the other side of this. And I think just Small Talk's got a ton for us to talk about. But here you go. We got it going on.
Hi, I'm Mark Small. This is Small Talk. It's an election year, 2024. And since the candidates for governor really weren't limited to just talking about state issues, they're talking about national issues, I want to talk about the premises of one philosophical political position. And that has to do with nihilism and how much it affects Christianity, especially with a candidate like Micah Beckwith. When somebody comes in and starts talking about the end days, for example, it's God's will, that means not only they believe that Armageddon, the final battle, is going to happen, but that it must happen and that it's good. Now, people who run for local office also want to look down the road and maybe get national office. And they sure really want to aspire for that. And they can have whatever beliefs that they want. That's a person's right. But if what they're saying is they believe that it's good, it's inevitable to destroy the earth in one final battle with God against Magog or whomever, that goes over the line. Now, Hal Lindsey was a writer. His bestseller in 1970 was The Late Great Planet Earth. And he predicted the dates that this would happen. And, well, they got changed. Well, it had to, because dates were changed and things didn't go right. Oh, he'd have to change them again. The whole time he was buying futures in stock. Kind of tells you how much he really believed what he was saying. People who have very profound and sincere beliefs in Christianity believe that the Revelation is not a book of prophecy. It was a way in which people at that time who were trying to fight persecution could communicate. And that's an important thing to take. Just because I'm saying we shouldn't let people who believe in the end days being good shouldn't have nukes, doesn't mean I'm discriminating against them. I'm saying they shouldn't kill us. Mark Small. Peace.
So welcome, Micah. That's a good welcome for you, isn't it? So one thing real quick I want to talk about, and plus here's something you're driving there. I'll read it to you. This is from Cassie Jackson. Please do not say that God has spoken. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on a second. Where is it at? Where's the one I want? That ain't it either. Oh, it's like the comments are going so fast. I've lost my place. I don't know. I got to get rid of them now. There we go. Anyway. So she was saying hi anyway. Cassie says hi, and Mark obviously says hi. I don't think his interpretation of the scripture and what Christians want is very accurate, but it makes for great talking points. Before we get started, I want to say our show is on the premise of we respect and we listen to everyone's opinion, even if we don't agree with them. And it's been an interesting experiment with giving people platform, as Tiffany knows that maybe some people don't agree with, but it goes against our grain of the show. We let everybody have a talk and go there. So we appreciate you. Where are you driving back from, Mike, and how you doing?
Extending freedom and liberty to all.
Yes.
John Luther King, look at you.
Yes, John Luther King. All right, that's enough of that. Where are you coming back from, Micah?
Yeah, so I was over in Richmond this morning and had a meeting there. I had to drive over to Clark County. I was in Brazil, and we had a great meeting with delegates over there, and so now I'm heading to Indianapolis for another delegate meet and greet downtown Indianapolis. There's a treasurers conference going on right now. There's some delegates there, so was invited to come there. And so I'm just crisscrossing the state. It's going great, and I don't know, Mark Small. Where we talk? How do we get on end times like prophecy and revelation? I'm still wondering.
Micah, if you get elected, we know you're going to nuke everybody. I mean, that's what I think he was trying to put in there. So, yeah, okay. you got big heavy thumb on the button.
Oh man.
Well, you'll be interested to know that Rob Kendall's going to do a little interview with me tomorrow to talk about the Julie McGuire event tonight. That I went and presented his questions to her, and the fact that she sort of canceled last minute on this. But I got to be fair. I did sort of put pressure on her and say that she was going to be on the show. That's on me. I'm a promoter. It's on me. I Donald Trumped everybody and made up a little lie there. So don't worry about that. So don't hate her for it. But this would be a good opportunity to explain that we have now 53 live viewers on just here. That doesn't count the other LinkedIn's and other things that people want to know what's up. So Micah, give us your little elevator speech here, and then I'm turning everybody loose. And I just want to give you a hint here. If Lucy asks you a question about liberty, say you're not going to infringe on our liberties, and then don't infringe on them, okay? Because the last guy that did that, well, now he's a U.S. rep guy, probably going to make it, but didn't work out for the mayor. So I'm just saying, that's just a hint.
That's good. Hey, listen, I don't want to be on Lucy's bad side. I've seen people go missing when they got on Lucy's bad side. So I've learned from watching. So
No, that's after they ate my food, because I'm not a cook.
That's exactly right. She knows lamb's quarters and all this, and Heimlich and all this stuff that you could hemlock or whatever it is. I don't know how. That's a maneuver, the other thing. But anyway, go ahead, Micah.
No, it's going good. Again, we're crisscrossing the state, and listen, I think delegates love the idea that they have a choice for lieutenant governor. And there are people out there that are supporting me, and there are people out there that aren't supporting me. But at the end of the day, I think we've succeeded in giving delegates a choice, because for the last 35 years, give or take, we've always voted for lieutenant governor at the Republican convention. But you've always been told who to vote for. And just on principle alone, I don't like that. I've been a delegate since 2016. I don't like that we just have one chosen person by the establishment or to vote for. So I'm actually glad Mike Braun picked Julie, because then now it gives people a chance, right? Because some people say, well, why are you mad or upset that Mike didn't pick you? I said, no, actually, I'm glad he picked somebody different, because the point is to give the delegates a choice. And then let me explain to you my qualifications. Let me tell you how I would steward the office of lieutenant governor, and then make your choice based on what you see best. And I believe competition, especially when it comes to elections, is really, really crucial, because that's how you get the best outcome for the people. So So I think it's going great. And I love the process. And you know, Mike and I are friends. I think we would work really well together. And I look forward to, you know, helping him be the best, most conservative governor and that we've ever had in the state of Indiana. I think it will be a great 4 years if we can go back to those core principles of, you know, liberty, right? Like lowering taxes, limiting government, shrinking government, and not growing government. And as a Republican, I'll be honest, like we haven't done a good job of that over the last decade. And so I think we've got to be honest with ourselves as Republicans and say, hey, we can do better. It doesn't mean Republican principles are wrong, but we can definitely do better. And I think that's one of the things I've been saying is like, I can help the team do better. So it's going very well.
Yeah, that's well. And one of the questions I asked Julie McGuire this evening was, well, you're already in the House. You know, you're in the Indiana House. You know that they have more power in the House than you would as a lieutenant governor. Do you think that's sort of a sideways move? Are you going to be giving up some power? And you know, she basically said, well, not really. I think it's opportunity for a salary increase, to tell you the truth. I mean, so, you know, I would put you on the spot. I didn't know if you make this, Micah, you're going to get $188,000 a year to do this job.
That's ridiculous. They raised that last year. And I actually knew I was going to be running for lieutenant governor at that point. And I don't know if it had been public yet, but it was right about the time I launched my race. So I had been planning this. But I called my state reps and my state senators, and I called people in government. I said, what are you doing? Like, people can't put food on their tables, and you're giving increases to our statewide office holders. And the response was, well, we got to be competitive with the other states. And I'm like, no, we don't. Not on this one. And I said, listen, there could be a time and a place to do that down the road, but not now. I mean, Bidenomics is killing Americans. And you want to give salary increases to politicians? Like, no, like that was bad. And so I knew I was going to be running for this, and I'm still upset that that's what it is. And I'm not okay with us raising the politicians' salaries, especially when people are reeling from inflation and our dollar doesn't go smart. Now that's because of Democrats. You got the Democrat ridiculous policies out in Washington, but again, we shouldn't have done that, and yeah, it's too high. It's way too high. Well,
hey, but look on the bright side. Your church is going to get $18,000 a year, so you got to do that 10% thing, right? I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, just think about it. The Life Church just got a raise. I mean, it is like, hey, that's good. So that's the police pulling you over. That's probably Democrats coming to get you there. Hey, Brad, I'm going to let you get started here. We'll go.
I'm sure God is going to spend that money wisely. You know, that's going to be good.
Books for the library, right? Books for the library.
Let's hope so. Yeah, Christian books. People read. You know, people read Christian books. We have a Christian fiction section. By the way, everybody go to your library. It's summer reading this month, probably somewhere. Like, they give away prizes. We're doing state park passes and stuff. You know,
it's like some are reading and some aren't. Is that a summer reading?
No, it's
not.
Man,
I'm sorry.
John,
that's the Johnny can't read saying for me. Okay, so
no,
there.
Micah, good to see you.
You too, Red.
I did have a question. I was reading an article about you today, and it said that like one of my biggest concerns has always been you kind of pushing agendas on the state. You know, with the time at the Hamilton East Library Board. I've been told that the lieutenant governor spot is not that powerful, and I shouldn't be worried because, you know, you have to stay in these certain kind of places. But I saw you quoted as saying, if I hear the problems when I'm talking with Hoosiers around the state and no one's really putting forward solutions, I'm going to try and find a solution for those people. It just sounds like the people that have your ear sometimes, like Purple for Parents and Moms for Liberty, I feel like they don't represent the whole state. So it would be irresponsible to go forward with it. I just kind of want some feedback on that fear.
Yeah, no, so when in that context, what we were talking about was property taxes. So nobody's really put forth a whole lot of solutions for property taxes. So I say, listen, I hear from Hoosiers every day about different issues, and so that was specifically for that issue alone. And property taxes are killing people, taxes are killing people, And so one of the things I've done is put out a property tax relief, plan, and and let's talk about it. Let's start the conversation somewhere. I think when it comes to some of those social issues, Brad, that you and I disagree on, I mean, I think fundamentally we probably agree on the issue. Like, I don't think you would ever say it's okay to put pornographic material in the hands of kids, right? Well, you and I disagreed on what it was pornographic material. I mean, that's fine. We can have those disagreements, but I think that if you're worried that like I'm pushing an agenda that is somehow going to be damaging to our society or culture, I would argue and say, no, I don't think I am. I think I'm just saying I want common sense, boundaries on our society. I don't think it's right to put pornographic material in the hands of kids, and so let's make sure that we're not doing that and move it to different sections of the library. So, but it's a narrative then spins to this place of like, oh well, Micah wants a theocracy, or Micah is a book banner. It's like, well, first of all, I've never called for either one of those. But I would then ask the question is like, so what's wrong with keeping children safe? What's wrong with keeping pornographic material in some other place? So I think when you read those stories, it's easy to assume like, oh, I think I know what Micah thinks. But I'll be honest with you, most of the time I talk to people and say, well, you wanted X, Y, and Z. I said, well, I've never said that. And they said, well, that's what this was implying. It's like, well, I've never said that. And so I think in that context, what you read there from that story today, that was specifically designed around, we were talking about property taxes. And so, and I do think we haven't put out solutions. I mean, again, the Republican Party, taxes have gone up and government has grown over the last 15 years. And I believe in Republican principles. I'm just honest enough to say, hey, I don't think we're doing what we say we always are going to do whenever we run for office. So why can't we change that? You know what I mean? So that's where that comes. That's a good question though, Brad. I'm glad you asked that.
Well, and I think that not only Brad but others are worried about your profession coming into play in the government. And I've noticed that you're pretty good at keeping that stuff separate. I mean, and I think anyone could argue that if we all lived by Jesus's teachings, the world would be a heck of a lot better place. I mean, there's no doubt. You cannot argue that those aren't good ways to live. Yeah. I mean, just the golden rule would be a great start. So
that's great, and that's the thing. I've never once said people should be forced to be a Christian. I don't think our government has any business forcing religion down somebody's throat. But we do have to have a government that's rooted in law, and those laws come from someone's idea of morality. And our founders built that morality. They said that morality was rooted in the Judeo-Christian ethic. Now, that doesn't mean Muslims or atheists or agnostics or anyone else like isn't welcome here. But it does say like, hey, the moral code of the Western civilization is we should love others as we love ourselves. We should not murder. We should not steal. We should not lie. But if you want to kick those values out, okay, fine. But who then gets to be the moral lawgiver? If we don't have God as a moral lawgiver, then that just means a politician gets to be God. And so you're going to have a God. No society is godless. Every society worships something or someone. And the question that I'm asking and forcing the conversation is, who is that going to be, America? Do we want to, okay, if you want it to be Donald Trump, fine. If you want it to be Nancy Pelosi, fine. But if you take God out of the equation, it will be somebody in office. And I don't make a good God. I know, John, I like you, but I don't think you would make a good God.
No, I can barely run a show.
So I think that's the question that I ask. Say, no, where's our morality rooted in? Because right now, I mean, look what happened in Ohio today. I mean, that woman who stabbed a 3-year-old to death, and then she smiles and chuckles about it in the courtroom. What? Like, how did we get here? Because nobody ever taught her the moral code of, hey, you don't do that because people are valuable, right? And again, if we get into a society where that morality is gone, then my question is, who gets to be the moral lawgiver? And I don't trust any politician to be a moral lawgiver.
Mike is changing cell towers. Lucy, I'm going to put you up next because I know that this is right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that Micah's going to be able to hear me. And I like Micah as an individual human being. What I'm concerned about, and I'm somebody that if you asked me, I would say, yes, I'm a Christian. Yes, I believe in Jesus. But here is the problem with that. Not everybody does. And the moral code that I put myself under, the religious restrictions, I should say, not the moral code, are something that are unique to me and unique to my own religious practices. Just like I would not expect a Muslim politician to be able to call all of us to prayer. Those of us that are Christians should not be called to prayer 5 times a day by someone of the Muslim faith. And wouldn't expect that to happen. So, Micah, now that you're back, I'll stop rambling a little bit and kind of direct my questions towards you. My real fear, the thing that holds me back from endorsing you fully, because I like you as a human being, I think you're a good guy, is theocracy. I don't believe in theocracy. There are, and I don't believe that all morality comes from the Christian God. I have friends that are Buddhist, and I have friends that are Muslim, and I have friends that are Sikh. And common to all of these people are the recognition of natural laws that we libertarians boil down to say, don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. It's not right to commit violence against somebody. Taxation is theft. I always put that in. So, Micah, my question for you is, um, if you're a lieutenant governor, how do you make sure that your theocratic beliefs, that your religious beliefs don't spill out and become something that tries to restrict somebody? I'm not saying outside of the moral thing. I think we all agree that murder is wrong and taxation is theft and stealing is wrong. But how do you propose to put boundaries around yourself so that you're not trying to impose your theocracy on our Muslim friends?
Yeah. So one, I don't want a theocracy. So again, that's just 100% untrue. When people say that, I've never once said that. I believe in a constitutional republic. The 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 boundaries around me are the boundaries that we find in our Constitution. The Constitution is not the law that governs us; it's the law that governs those who govern. So if I step into government, that's the moral or the boundaries that I have to adhere to is the Constitution. And what really ticks me off is when governors around the country, when they step outside of their constitutional authority and start locking the whole place down, telling people they can't come out, labeling people essential or non-essential. When I saw that, that instantly to me said, you have broken your covenant that you made with the people when you said you would uphold this Constitution and defend it, and now you're breaking it. So for me, I guess Lucy, that boundary system is the Constitution, and when I swear an oath to it, that's what keeps me in check. And if I can't honor the Constitution, I can't swear. I'm not going to swear an oath to it. And now I will say this: no, everybody's word today doesn't seem like it means anything anymore. But again, you said we all believe murder is wrong. We all believe taxation is theft. I don't look at our society and actually see that anymore. I see people murdering. I see people raising taxes. So there's a disconnect there. I think fundamentally, the laws of nature and nature's God. My question to you, Lucy, is who is that God? Because it can't just be some ambiguous idea. That doesn't work. The animal kingdom doesn't have that, but somehow human beings do. So my question is, who is that lawgiver that our founders set up? Because I want that to be true. I want everyone to say murder is wrong and taxation is theft, but they don't. And so I guess I'll throw it back to you. Who is that God that we look to?
Well, my opinion of who that God is and your opinion is probably the same or very, very close. And unfortunately, not everybody believes the way that we do. I was talking to a gentleman who's an atheist today, and his main complaint is he's trying to find a girlfriend, and this girl he liked, and I called him out on this, by the way. This girl that he liked is a Christian lady, and she said, "Hey, we can be friends, but it's not going to be a real relationship because we don't have the same religious beliefs." And he was like, "I can't believe." And I said, "Hey, wait a second. We're supposed to have boundaries, and if that's what she's chosen for herself, it doesn't infringe on your rights or anybody else's, you need to back off."
Yeah, that's
So I think we probably agree with that. So I think very good answer. Very good answer. You should be bound by the laws of by what's written in the Constitution. And we won't even get into the fact of how there's some stupid people that a few years ago in the Tea Party that somehow memorialized property taxes as part of the Indiana Constitution when it did not exist before. But I'm just going to end it right there.
Thank you very little. Well, I can tell, Michael, you're getting close. I can tell you're getting closer to Indianapolis because your camera's jiggling because the roads suck. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
Is that true or false?
Thank you, Joe Hogsett. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
I was just like, hey, I got that intuition. Speaking of intuition, Tiffany, I know you. And now, see, I put you third, so now you're gonna have to think of a question that's like original. But go ahead.
All right, Micah. Good to see you. Drive safely.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, we were supposed to have an event tonight, and you canceled on me, so I ended up coming to Atlanta to spend time with my daughter. But I know you've got a lot to do right now, so I really appreciate it.
I'm sorry.
No worries. So quick question. Lieutenant Governor is responsible for 4 things. It's President of the Senate, agriculture, housing, and then in Indiana, like tourism.
Yeah, and then you have another one, OCRA, the Office of Community Rule of Affairs. So those are the big duties of the Lieutenant Governor. And then you're also the chair of the Civics Education Commission too, which is another really cool thing that I'm excited about. Yeah, as well.
So let's talk about, I know that when you run for office, there's you, the politician, the person, what you stand for, the values and principles that are important to you. And then there's the way that you carry out your work. And so of those 5-6 areas that you're responsible for, what's top of your agenda?
Well, the first thing is protecting Indiana farmland because, I have a dairy background. My family was in the dairy business and still is. And so the family business, my grandpa started it back in the 50s. And so I have a place in my heart for farmers. And I will tell you right now, Indiana farmland, there's a hostile takeover going on of our land right now from foreign-owned conglomerate corporations that do not have our interest at heart. And so while I am a free market guy, and I certainly want to protect the invisible hand from doing, the invisible hand allowing it to do what it does, I do think we have to be wise and not incentivize bad behavior. And so we've been giving tax abatements. And we've been saying to foreign companies, come in and take our land. And then they offer these huge paychecks to these small farmers. And the small farmers are saying, well, I got to provide for my family. And we haven't cut regulation enough or cut their taxes enough to be able to make sure that they can have a good living by keeping their family farm. So what do? They sell it. And they give it, or they lease it in these 50-year leases to these corporate-owned solar farms or wind farms or things that really, even China, right? Like we've seen China buying up our land, and they're doing it around military bases. So China is much more hostile than any other nation, but yet we just let them come right in. And so as a Secretary of Agriculture, you got to have a hawk on that. And then the legislature will do things like pass these bills where it says, well, we banned China from buying land last year. Yeah, but you created 18,000 different loopholes that it's easy for them to create shadow corporations and come in and buy the land still. So it's not, we're not being honest when we say, oh yeah, we're doing a good job of protecting our land. So I want to make it easier for small farmers and family farmers to be able to make a great investment and make money off of their investment so that it stays in the family, because that's how you protect Indiana values and the Hoosier way of life. So that would be paramount, I think, for me in that role.
That's good. I had a question for you as far as we have the Julie McGuire and the Micah Beckwith thing, and obviously anybody that's paying attention, it sounds like, well, that's a split in the party, and this is we can bring unity together and all that, and this is my opinion. My opinion is I don't think Mike Braun really cares which one of you. I think he's sort of being strong-armed by the House and the Senate, because they don't want somebody in there that may or may not do what they want them to do. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the House and the Senate necessarily. I do think there are certainly people in the establishment that do not want me at all. I mean, I spoke out against Governor Holcomb's lockdowns early on in 2020, and I got kicked out of the Hamilton County Republican Party. So I will say that the establishment Republicans probably hate me more than even some of the Democrats do. And so and that's saying a lot. And so yeah, I always try to speak honestly and speak the truth, and it really burns me when it's our own people, our own party, that proclaims one thing in an election and then gets in there and does the other. So that, remember, that lieutenant governor's office, though, is the people's office. And so what I've done is I've forced a conversation in Indiana this year. Who does that office really belong to? Does it belong to the governor, or does it belong to the people? And if it belongs to the people, then we got to let the people decide. And so, here's probably what they'll do. If I win this, I think that we've changed the course of history for Indiana for years to come. I think we'll always see robust competitive races for the lieutenant governor. If I lose, I think what the party will do is they will change the rules so that no one can ever run for lieutenant governor ever again. And so I really do. I think they'll do what they did with the superintendent of public education. They'll take it away from the delegates. And I was against that move, by the way, even though we had Jennifer McCormick as our Republican superintendent, and she was the biggest rhino we've ever had in the party. Well, now I take that back. There's bigger rhinos in the party, but
size doesn't matter, right? Size doesn't matter.
But I will say this: they changed the rules mid-game because they didn't like the outcome, and I spoke out against that when they did that. Even though I didn't like Jennifer McCormick as their superintendent, I was very adamant that you cannot change the rules mid-game, and I don't like it when you take things away from the people. So again, I hate that I don't hate it, but I did force the conversation, and I'm calling the party to be honest. If you're going to give the delegates a vote, then let them choose between multiple candidates. Right. If you don't like it, fine, change the rules. But
so we got one here. Speaking of, you brought up if you lose or whatever, if Michael loses LG, will he help other Liberty candidates win their elections this year? And then what I mean, obviously you've spent a lot of time and effort, and you've built a very good name recognition as a Liberty candidate. Is that I lost Tiffany for a second, but is that you don't look like the kind of guy that's going to quit.
Yeah, I don't know if I would run for anything anymore. I mean, campaigning is not easy, and especially 92 counties. But I certainly am not going away. Like, I believe it takes all of us. I will continue to help. And listen, I want people to stand on my shoulders to go further. And I try to do that now. I'll do that as lieutenant governor. I'll do that if I'm not lieutenant governor. I just want to find good people. I want to help catapult them into places of influence, so that we can actually have a good society and we can actually preserve liberty for the next generation. And so yeah, I'm not going away. I mean, it probably pains people like Brad to hear that, but
no, I think that I think the concerns that I hear from other folks is that you're going to be more of a, that your religion's going to get in the way, that you're going to put your morality on there. And we've heard you talk about the Constitution. Basically, you're trading your Bible in for the Constitution when you put your political hat on. I mean, you're always going to have those things. Hey, Tiffany, nice to have you back.
Let me ask a question though. So, I identify as a follower of Jesus, and I know we're in the month of June where we celebrate the identities of what anyone wants to be. I've always wondered, why do people not support my identity and who I am in Christ? And I can't remove that from me. It's in the same way that the LGBTQ community will say they can't remove their identity. I can't remove my identity. Would the culture ever ask an LGBTQ politician to check their identity at the door? No, we celebrate it when they go into the door, even more so. So why is it that I have to leave my identity, or we're asking Christians? I mean, that's what primarily it is. We're telling Christians, hey, you cannot bring that into the door of politics. We bring every other identity into the door of politics. So why is it that Christianity somehow is not allowed in there? So that's how I look at it. I can't separate my faith from who I am. That's just my identity. Now, I will say this. The laws that govern me are the Constitution. Our founders were very, very, very smart when they wrote it, because they didn't want you having to worry about the king telling you what to preach or what to believe, whether it was Christian or not. But I will say this. It goes back to who am I? I will always be somebody that tries to live by the golden rule, to love others as I love myself, to do as I would have them do unto me. And so, I think those Judeo-Christian principles are are the bedrock principles of the Western civilization. Go all the way back to the Magna Carta. You can see it. You can see God's hand in what the Bible says. You can see it written there. You can see it written in our Constitution. And so, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you're allowed to, disregard anybody or push people to the curb. Actually, biblical principles and the true principles are the ones that protect the minorities' rights. And people say, oh, well, there's slavery in Scripture. Yeah, the Bible's very honest about even the heroes of our faith. They weren't perfect. Doesn't mean God ordained it. Doesn't mean God wanted it, though. And so, but you get back to the bedrock principles, God is the God of liberty. It's his liberty is his idea, not ours. And
Micah, I love
go down those principles. I think
I loved what you said about identity. That was so very eloquent about you being allowed to be you and have your values and principles and thoughts and ideas. And why should that's who you are, and nobody would ask anybody else to strip away part of their identity and then come to the table. That's the exact opposite. So that was very, very well said, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, good. It was a good point, and it really, it makes you think about it. And sometimes we need to look through the lens of another person of how
But
they
there's
are.
like a difference between like Christianity-based like compassion and Christianity-based fear, and I feel like there is a push of like scaring people into thinking a certain way rather than like the Christian way that my friends that are Christian, I love that about them. They are like compassionate people. I don't ever question their religion, but not when it comes to something that would be like, I'm scared of this lifestyle, so I do not like it, and I don't think it should be.
So, Brad, my question to you is, what are your thoughts on diversity of thought? So when it comes,
I think that it's a good thing.
So when it comes to certain matters, should we all think the same way?
No, like diversity of thought is a great thing.
Okay. So it seems as though you're having a hard time with the idea that somebody could carry their Christian religious based thoughts into other decision making.
I'm scared that would be such a factor because it is such a factor in their life.
That they would bring their
in a personal
work. Okay, that's the fear. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I
understood. Well, fear is mentioned a lot of times in the Bible. So.
Well, hey, look at it this way, though, Brad.
Ahead,
so if I truly love you, and I know, or I believe that there is an end coming to you that's going to be destructive. It's going to lead to, we'll say, the hellfires, right? Okay, and I pray that's not going to happen to you. But if I believe, now you don't have to believe it. You can say, well, I don't believe it, and it's not. You can believe that, Micah. But
I appreciate that prayer or that thought. I never look upon it as like something to be ashamed of or anything like that.
Yeah, well, and I would say like it would be if I really cared about you, I'd say, man, like you're going up to a cliff of destruction. I love you enough to tell you that don't go that path, right? Don't do what you're doing. Don't go down this lifestyle path because it's not God's best for you. If I truly believe that it's not God's best for you, and I don't tell you, I think that's where I would be unloving. So, like, we'll take the book battle that we were in, right? If I believe that pornographic material is not good for people or children, I would be unloving if I didn't say something, right? And so now you may disagree with me. That's totally fine, and we can have that debate. But I think for me, I couldn't live with myself if I never told you, or if I didn't try. If I didn't try to say, hey, I think there's a warning up ahead. Like, I don't want you to go down that path because it's going to hurt you. And you can.
But that's not the government's job to insert itself into your life that way.
Well, I mean, they do that all the time. They put warning signs out about something up ahead, like so.
No smoking.
But again, and I'm not saying that the government should get involved in the no smoking, like speed limits, like all these things. The government always is doing stuff to protect its people. Now, I'm not saying that we jump into the spiritual side of protection, but I do think what I'm saying as a Christian, my identity is in who I am in Christ. I have to tell you, I couldn't live with myself if I'm right, and someday you do go down to that place where I don't want you to go. how could I live with myself if I knew I had a chance to tell you and I didn't tell you? And so that's really where I'm coming from, is like,
it's the Great Commission, the Great Commission. So Tiffany, go ahead.
Yeah.
So Mike, as we think about and talk about faith-based decision making, if somebody is scared about your experiences and thoughts and how it influence your behavior, would it be best for one to just refer maybe to the 10 Commandments to kind of get an idea of where you come from?
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. Again, it's the basics of a moral society. Don't murder, don't steal, don't lie, don't or honor your parents. I mean, even that one right there is like, why do we have so much crime? Why do we have so many problems in schools? Like, we've seen the stat. We have broken homes. We have children that don't honor parents, and then they grow up to be parents, and then they don't honor their children, and it's just this destructive cycle. I'm saying, man, as a society, I think we would be wise to go back to those founding, those ideals, right, that made us a great nation to begin with. And now we're not. We're walking away from those, and people are saying, man, my life isn't as good. I have more depression, more despair, more suicide. We're struggling financially. We're all of these things, and God has something to say about all those things. Even on tax policy. I mean, the Bible talks about what good governmental tax policy should be, so that it doesn't burden the people to the point they can't live freely. And so I think, again, it's not that I'm going to force those Christian beliefs down anybody's throats. I'm just going to say we got to have a moral right and wrong. And I think that's my fear, is if you remove those principles that we have said for the last 237 years of our Constitution being in existence, if you begin to remove those foundations, the whole house is going to crumble. And I'm trying to stop that, because I don't want people to I don't want anybody to suffer. And whether you're Christian or not, I want you to have the most prosperous, awesome life you can absolutely have. So.
Yeah, and I think that, one thing, hold on, Tippy, one thing that, when I read the Bible and I read between after David's time and when Jesus came, it seemed like this group of Israelites, they sinned worse than the last one, and they just, the farther they got away from God, they eventually lost all their land and didn't get it back to what, 58? I mean, yeah. So things happen when you stray away, but I know we're getting way off the path here, and we sort of turned this into a more of a religious breakdown, and that, but hey, it comes with. But I
will say this, John, real quick. I mean, I know this audience particularly, they for some reason think that I've called for a theocracy, right? So I think it's important that we have this conversation, because I've never called for that. I don't shove my faith down anybody's throat. Ask anybody who knows me, even my friends who aren't Christians, like, they'll tell you, it's like Mike has never shoved his faith down our throat. He's very clear about where he stands on things. He'll tell you that, but I'll give you the shirt off my back. I don't care if you're Christian or not, or I don't care what your lifestyle is. I'll help you.
Yeah,
but
and there's there's a saying. We're the Bible. We're the only Bible some people will ever read. And if our example's not living the Christian way, or you show me your faith, I'll show you my faith by my deeds. There's a lot of things that we can do without, what they say, 60% of the communication is nonverbal. Tiffany, let's do one more, Tiffany, because look at this. It's already 10:04, and Mike has been so gracious. He hadn't wrecked. He looks like he's made it through the pothole version of Indianapolis, and he's probably headed somewhere else.
So, Mike, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. You're good.
So kind of, John, thank you for that, kind of bringing us back to the constituents in the 92 counties and the delegates and all the people you've been seeing as you've been doing this over the last year. What are the top issues facing talk to me? One, describe the average Hoosier and tell me some of the problems that they're facing.
Yeah, well, first it's financial, right? I think everyone is feeling the squeeze. And so, again, that's why I think that tax issue, like lower taxes, lower regulations, I think that's a big part of it. I think when I'm in certain parts of the state, I think you're looking at issues like parental rights in schools, right? I think that's a big one. Like some of the decaying kind of value systems of our schools, and then the educational results aren't as high as they used to be. What are we doing about that? That's not in every school district. I think it's different per area. There are some schools in the state that are really strong, and they've got really healthy cultures, and but then you travel to other parts of the state, and it's the opposite. I think within the Republican Party, this is probably a little bit more Republican based. When I talk to Republicans that are delegates, there is a big time fracture between the grassroots and the establishment. And I think that's probably what I hear more than anything else is how do we bring unity around the principles of the party that everybody can agree on. But I mean, that's a larger conversation probably for another day, but I do hear that quite a bit. And there's a lot of untrust between those who aren't in the circles of the good old boys club, and then there's a lot of untrust of those who are in the circles of the good old boys club to the grassroots. And so it's kind of going both ways. So I feel like I'm sort of in the middle of it right now, but I think those are probably the main. Yeah.
You are in the middle of it. If you didn't know if you were in the middle, you're like right in the middle. That target in the middle of the bullseye they throw darts at, that's your nose.
How did that happen? How does that always happen?
Well, and Micah, I appreciate you've been on the show 4 or 5 times. You've been on the panel. You've been a guest. You've been everything else. And you know what I say? 80% of why I vote for somebody is how accessible they are. So if you can imagine trying to get a hold of a lieutenant governor later after they win, and you can't get them before when they're trying to get elected. I'm just going to say that. Like I said, I respect Julie. I like Julie a lot. I think she's being led around and all that, and sort of, it's just interesting. I've seen her go from the secretary and treasurer of the Perry Township GOP club to a representative in the House, and now trying to elevate up to the lieutenant governor. I wish we could have had her on tonight, but we didn't. And in what 4 or 5 short days, Micah, you'll be down there doing it. So
then 5 or 6 short days, I'm going to be sleeping. So
yeah, I can tell your voice is a little, it's getting there. But you're doing it again. I appreciate it. You could be resting your voice right now, probably singing some old hymn gospels in your car without and all that stuff. So
Mike, have you put on any weight, any campaign weight?
I think I've lost some actually because I don't have time to eat.
Okay.
Yeah,
one of those races.
Okay, so we're gonna go to the conspiracy, Michael. You've done so well. We're not gonna let you do a conspiracy. I think you're living a conspiracy right now anyway. So we're going ahead and play that. And thank you so much. Drive safe and good luck and all those wonderful things. And we'll see you soon.
All right, love you guys. See ya.
You too. Drive safe.
Hey y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
All right, I'll wear the tinfoil hat for everybody. It's okay. Thanks for even trying to make effort. It's okay. You Tiffany, you may want to run for something. You all may want to run for something later. I'm doomed. I'm doomed. So it makes no difference to me. But so anyway. That was fun. Tiffany's got the bugs coming in. Down there in Atlanta, they got some big bugs.
Yeah, it's big.
Are you sure that's not a Bigfoot?
Yeah, I was hoping Bigfoot would come out of the woods and save you.
It's a conspiracy bug. It's a drone.
This is like
camping. That's it.
I feel like I'm camping.
You're glamping. That's not camping. You got a roof and a bed. So Brad, let's start with you on the conspiracy. I think that was a good conversation about stuff. I'll tell you, our chat was going. We had like 60 live viewers, and they're even sticking around for this nonsense. So it's good.
All right, yeah. I got nothing right now. If you give me a minute, make Lucy go first. I don't think Lucy's talked for like a little while.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to let Micah go. I was exceptionally pleased to hear his stance on the Constitution versus his religious beliefs. And it is a hard thing. I mean, I don't care if somebody's a Muslim or a Sikh or a Christian or an atheist. That's something that I want to know is, where do their personal beliefs spill over into their desire to govern, because those who desire to govern are the very people that shouldn't be. So, conspiracy theory, gosh, hey, you don't have the banner yet, John.
Oh yeah, well,
You
it's,
could probably put that up before I start.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 people telling me about the banner, so I'm glad I got these wannabe producers, and we could do that. Oh, here's the banner for the stock market show. Here's our banner for that. So we got plenty of banners. I just never put them up. So
yeah, that's a whole
I could
conspiracy
be
in
like,
and of itself.
I could be like Hunter Biden. I could just plead. You could just plead. I didn't know that the speed limit was I can't do cocaine and buy a gun.
We'll run naked down the hallway. I saw that video today.
Oh, I didn't know that video. That was what? Where was? Oh, you were talking about him, not me. Okay, sorry. I thought that got out. I thought that we deleted that thing.
No, I saw a Hunter Biden video today. So I don't know. That'll be my conspiracy. I'm just really confused.
Yeah,
with the Biden
that'll
stuff.
be conspiracy fact. If you actually saw it.
Obviously, yeah, exactly. But he like runs out of the hotel room and he's naked, and he runs after. Well, this woman runs out of the room, and then he runs out after her naked. He runs her down. I guess pushes her down, and he drags her by her leg back into the hotel room. Allegedly, it's Hunter.
Allegedly, yeah. Allegedly on the fake laptop thing, and then he had there.
Was like, this is that. I was like, wow. But but with Hunter Biden, I just don't. He's wow, just very interesting, very very interesting.
Yeah, he'll never see jail time, and I don't think that that's a jail time offense. I mean, it's like, come on, it's
assaulting
like,
a woman and dragging her back to hotel.
No, not that part. That part is that's a take him out behind the West Biden state.
It's like, where are
I'll take him behind the gym and I'll beat him up behind the gym or whatever.
Where are her brothers? Somebody like that should not even living and breathing. So I'll go first.
One last thing. I did read about the testimony that the family had to give, and it's very truthful and concise. So I do recognize that there's layers of issues within the family with addictions and substance abuse and grieving and stuff. But
they've all written books about it too. I mean, they don't.
Yeah.
They're not like hiding it.
Yeah.
So what's that say?
I love that this is like, oh my God, like no, like they've admitted it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a shame the plea fell apart. Yeah, that's all.
What does that say behind you, Brad? Me uncle went to MIT. I am so smart.
So smart.
Yeah, smart. You forgot some letters there.
Well, but me uncle went to MIT. Like, and that doesn't that just roll off the tongue? Like it sounds like a drinking shanty.
Yeah, it's like we need to be drinking a Guinness to it. Hey, me uncle went to MIT. My uncle went to MIT. Drink your pint.
Yeah.
What makes you so
because
smart?
that's how intellect works. That's how smarts.
That's how you do it. Yeah,
that's how they do it.
He looked like John Belushi.
What I made a copy of you. Put my name on it, so it's mine too. What?
Yeah. All right, Lucy. What do you got?
Yeah, I actually took my melatonin pill before we started, so that I'm sleep as soon as we were done. So my conspiracy theory actually revolves around my plant nursery. Because I am meeting a lot of people who mistakenly think that common plants are toxic. And in one case, I had an actual rush on Sunday afternoon. I had 4 people pull in, and I had 4 customers that I'm trying to navigate all at the same time.
So in other words, half of Salem was there.
Half of them, because there aren't that many. Anyway, I was going to make a joke that would have been inappropriate, so I can't do that. Anyway, at least not on this show. We got to maintain our decorum. But seriously, so here's this guy trying to tell this gal, don't use this particular plant because it's toxic and you shouldn't ingest it. And it's elderberry, which you can find all sorts of elderberry products, even in Walmart. Like they're ubiquitous. But he just didn't know. Somebody told him something once. Well, the problem is that common medicinal effective plants are often vilified in order to keep people from using them. Marijuana is one of those things. I mean, we see that where marijuana literally cures cancer, and so we can't have it in the state because we hate cancer patients and we want them to be in pain. But things like castor oil, I didn't even use castor oil for years because, I had read things, probably government issued propaganda from pharmaceutical companies that castor oil was somehow bad for you. Same thing with elderberries. They're just so a lot of
Yeah, well, the kid drinks it and Stand By Me to vomit, doesn't he? The castor oil.
Possibly. I mean
I don't
that.
think it's castor
I
oil.
don't think.
I think it's
I
something
don't think it's an
else.
emetic.
I think
I don't
it's
think
usually
it's an
syrup
emetic.
or cat, something like that, that makes you vomit.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying it made me almost vomit. Well, so maybe it worked.
Well, that's
It's
so I
amazing.
guess the basis of my conspiracy theory is that there are common plants that heal us. The pharmacy is literally outside your front door. If you have a problem with your liver, so let me say it this way. If I had a problem with my liver or suspected that I did, I would go out and find dandelions that had not been sprayed with toxic chemicals, and I would eat every part of them. I would make my coffee out of roasted dandelion roots, and I would make my salad out of dandelion leaves. I would eat every single part of it. If I
Mm.
had intense pain, I would go find wild lettuce and I'd process the latex into a medicine, and I would have something that works on opioid receptors yet is not a narcotic. So there are so many things that are just common. Like I could walk you around Fishers and you would never starve.
No, Lily's going to come
Just on
get
10 or
you.
12 plants.
Lily's going to come get you. I did talk to one of my classmates from back in the day. We had a reunion thing. He's working on the lily plant that we drive by it every day to go to every Sunday, go to church. They work 24 hours a day on that thing. They're building the drug that would, for the diabetics, that makes you lose all the weight. And I'm like, man, this thing,
Semaglutide.
what are all those pipes go to? I drive by there, all these places like, Riley Chemicals. They have millions of pipes running there. What do they need all those pipes for to do that? I mean,
And we
Because
make
otherwise,
sure that
everybody would just be outside trying to smell all the fumes.
the
so
fumes are awful. That's
so
that
let me
Riley
put
chemical.
Just
before we get off too much on a different topic, let me put out a couple of things that are important. Semaglutide, which is the Wegovy and what was the first, what's it called? The most common name.
Ozempic.
Oh, yeah, Ozempic.
I don't know none of the names and none of
That
that stuff.
is that is one of the worst drugs that has ever been invented. I don't think people realize what's happening. And if you look up Ozempic face, you'll find out. One of the most horrifying things about it is that it eats up your muscles. So you lose the muscles, and since muscle weighs more than fat, you lose weight. And yes, people are losing weight, but the other thing that's horrifying is it slows down your digestion, and people are getting paralysis in their digestive system, and it's not reigniting. Like their digestive system is paralyzed. This is a real problem. And then you look at something in Nature's Pharmacy like apple cider vinegar, which Glucose Goddess, who you can watch a lot of her videos or get her book. Who talks about the simple things like eating vinegar before a meal changes your blood sugar response and dampens it, and therefore you don't get the sugar spike, which leads to weight gain. Simple things like eating fiber, eating your salad first, and then your protein, and then something with sugar or carbohydrates afterwards. Simple things like that. The Coleus forscoli plant, which is beautiful in the landscape, the roots shrink fat cells and they increase testosterone. They're good for your heart. The common lilac bush that we all remember the smell of, that plant lives 100 years and is good for you. So everything that you need is already here. And it's a shame Micah's not here, unless he's in the background and he's cheering me on like, yes, Creator God did this.
No, he's not
You
back
know,
there.
we're like in a matrix and everything has been provided for us. But if you fall for the dark side, you're going to start like ingesting all the things that, sorry, Tiffany, you used to sell since you were a drug dealer.
Yes, he was.
I
So,
was a good dealer. I know.
Tiffany, you got it. You got a thing. At least that was one. I heard that if you eat dandelions, you'll pee yellow. Is that a true or false?
No,
Not
it's
true.
it's high B vitamin stuff that makes your pee yellow.
Yeah.
Oh, really? What's a high B vitamin thing?
You'll get yourself a super B complex where you take a pill that's like B12, B6, B1, all that kind of stuff, and then you'll pee yellow.
I can write fluorescent in the snow.
You could. Yeah.
All right. I like it. I don't.
Oh,
I'm
hey,
glad I got
let
a
me
short
say
name.
one more thing before we do that, because a lot of people are taking the wrong types of supplements. So when you go to the store and you see a B vitamin, it's cyanocobalamin, you need to know that that's cyanide. The opposite, the better supplement to take is methylcobalamin. There are a lot of people who there are a lot of people who don't methylate well. In fact, this is very much tied to autism, where people have an aberration in their MTHFR gene. And so those people don't process, detox, methylate, whatever word that you want to use. They don't do that well. So they've got to make sure that they get those methylated vitamins like methyl cobalamin or
Man, we're gonna have to
methylphenidate.
start calling you Lucy Brenton, medicine woman. I mean, you
Um,
should have
I
been a
am gonna
doctor
have
of all these things that you're doing.
Yeah.
This is why people
I
thought there were
could,
witches, though. You know,
yeah, because there were
just
people like
saying.
me,
Yeah, either that, you're either a
honestly.
medicine woman or a witch, one of the two. I mean, that's always, it's always good to have
I
that.
could listen to
So,
this
I'm
so
forever,
old
though,
enough to
Lucy.
be the
Thank you.
crone.
I love.
Thank you.
Yeah,
But
Thank you,
yeah.
Lucy,
Brad. I'm the
I
crone.
appreciate all that because you get to the point where,
I don't know what to
all of
take.
the great medicines for our chronic illnesses, they're generics, right? They're generics now. And some people that's not going to get them there. And a lot of people know once you start, you're going to take them forever.
Yeah,
We have
that
a
was
lot of books. Like we
By
have a lot of
design.
requests for books about
Yeah.
like
And then
natural,
Yeah.
it all goes back
natural
to what
gardens.
you're
You
eating
know,
and the food source.
yeah.
Well, Brad, I am doing free classes down here on my little nursery, and I'm teaching people how to make, simple water tinctures as a tea, right? So just about anything out there. Like people are like, well, how do I use a chamomile that I'm buying from you? Well, you clip off some leaves, you throw it in a cup, and you pour hot water over it, and you wait about 10 minutes. Congratulations, you've just made an aqueous extract. And, I'm very careful to talk to people in a very neutral way about making extracts or tinctures from alcohol because some people, are in a position where they're not, able to take alcohol. And in that
I,
case, there's glycerin.
I
You can
think
make a
you should
glycerin
start
tincture.
calling them potions. And then, and you live in Salem, and there,
Oh my God.
there'll be
Pointing
a
at you, cauldron.
Burner, she's a witch.
And
That's
what's so
they
funny
did.
about that is, my religious background is such that I would not allow my kids, at least willingly. Now, if they go off and do this themselves, but I would never dress my child up as a witch or anything evil.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's boiling trouble,
Guys, we
boiling
got like
bubble
3 or
trouble,
4
or whatever
months. We
that.
can make this happen.
Yep.
Like
So
this.
Yeah,
Tiffany,
yeah, we really can. Let's do it.
what
Yeah.
do you have, Tiffany? Do you have any Bigfoot sightings or whatever? I mean, you had to run away from Indy because Micah stood you up and all that, and I don't know. What do you got?
I continue to search the globe. We took the fight down to Miami. We laid some traps. We're waiting to see.
Were you going for a Cuban
Those
Bigfoot?
poor Bigfoot.
Those
They
are the
don't know what. Oh man.
Oh, and my passport just came in the mail, so we're going to take it
Oh,
international.
international Bigfoot hunt. Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you
it
saw
expired,
we sent you the tail. Somebody sent me a picture of the tailgate on a truck with the Bigfoot painted on there. So I wish I had it pulled up. If I was a good show person,
Can I
I would
point
have
out
it.
something on the line of taxation and stuff specifically for
Oh,
you,
please
Tiffany?
do, please do.
If it is possible that you might indeed write a book, and this is all research. So when you go to other countries and you're looking for Yeti or Sasquatch instead of Bigfoot, make sure you save all those receipts and write some pages of the book while you were there. I had a friend in real estate, and every time she had to write a new course, she would fly down to, either Barbados or the Cayman Islands because she liked to scuba
Write it
dive,
off.
and she'd write 2 or 3 hours a day. She knew what the IRS guidelines were, and she made sure that she did. So every single vacation that woman ever took was a tax write-off.
Okay, well,
Wow, that's almost like citing Bigfoot.
yeah, see, taxation's not theft when you understand the
Well,
rules.
when taxation steal it back is what that is. I
You
mean,
can't lie to a liar and you can't steal from a thief. So get back what you can.
yeah, and like the Mick Jagger says, you don't always get what you want, but if you try, sometimes you just might find you'll get what you need. So my conspiracy theory goes way back, and Brad had mentioned, or somebody mentioned, castor oil. That was one of the things. I'm I don't think our parents were probably subjected to castor oil as like a snake elixir. And then I don't know if you remember methylate. Does anybody remember methylate, that pink devil stuff? Lucy, you young
Mercury.
kids.
That's mercury poisoning right there.
My
Methylate
mom
was
used to make me
mercury.
drink that stuff. It's like, well,
Oh,
she'd put it
shoot.
on
That
there,
explains a
this is
lot.
how it works. You got to cut on there. She put on there, blow on it, Mom, blow on it, because it'd be burning. And so then we got the chemotherapy. That's like, we're gonna kill you to heal you. So we've been conditioned for bad tasting, painful methods of curing. So we've been conditioned for all these years to where we are now. And that's how that they're getting us on these drugs. I just want to know, I just got a question for the panel. You hear all these disclaimers and all these things that can grow along, these side effects and everything. I just want to know who came up with oily stool. I'm just saying that one. Have you ever heard that one? Well, this may cause oily stool.
I feel like that's one where when you got it, you know it.
Okay, well, good.
Probably.
Well, like,
That's what
it
Probably.
is until it happens.
I mean,
and then
You're
all of a sudden,
well, good.
probably,
really
yeah,
know.
that's probably so toxic you're shedding the mucosal lining, which is supposed to
Yeah.
protect, the inside of your colon, and it
Yeah.
probably looks oily. I do want to address one of the comments here because somebody challenged me,
Which one?
Tammy
Where?
Murray, if you're still here, somebody challenged me on marijuana cures cancer. Could you provide a citation? So Tammy, I would urge you to look up Rick Simpson oil, RSO. It's a special way to extract the active constituents out of marijuana. The fact of the matter is there are probably, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I could probably name 12 different things that have been used to cure various types of cancer over the years. Going from vitamin B17, also known as Laetrile, to Gerson therapy, to RSO, to juicing, to simple water fasting, depending upon the type of cancer you have and how it acts upon the body. One of the biggest ways is to just simply not get cancer in the first place. So, put down the Diet
Yeah,
Coke,
that's a
um,
well.
because that's a real cause of pancreatic cancer for
Yeah,
the
that
NutraSweet.
stuff, that
So
aspartame or whatever is in there.
the citations you probably won't find in literature that you have access to. If you have somebody that is in university or they are, have some sort of edu.edu email address where they can get those citations, there's a treasure trove of information that the average person can't access, which is why I think it was the founder of Reddit. His name was Aaron. They suicided him because he had, this is literally what he did. He got the peer reviewed studies that had been paid for by taxpayers and published them. Now these were paid for by taxpayers, but they had been paywalled and put behind hey, you have to give us your credit card and buy these things even after the taxpayers had already paid for him. And for that, he was harassed and mentally tortured by three-letter agencies and eventually killed himself. So it's out there. And if you simply go across the border to Tijuana and go to the Gerson Therapy Clinic or watch one of the documentaries about Gerson therapy, then you'll find out very quickly just how many people get cured from very, very serious cancers. Yes, oh, yes, Janet, thank you for saying that. Earthclinic.com, one of the best websites on the planet. For people that are looking for good information. Fenbendazole is an anti-parasitic that is typically given to dogs. So, your artemisia, which is also known as wormwood, that's a plant that's also anti-parasitic. Cloves are anti-parasitic, black walnut hulls, there's so many things. A lot of people don't realize that body system, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. I'll put that in there, for fellow Christians.
Yeah, that's
Everything we need is here. And it's when we lack faith and we look for the real witch doctors, which are the pharmaceutical
right.
recs and MDs.
Bing bang, walla walla, bing bang. Ooh
Yeah, anyway,
ee,
I gotta shut up because
wing
I'm
wang,
just
walla walla, bing bang. I know we got a whole nother show going here. We still got 34 people watching this fine operation here. But
well,
you
if
know what?
anybody
This
wants
was
to ask questions, I'm happy to answer them. But
and
Janet gave
I
you a
think
real
maybe we could have a Thursday night show with Lucy, the medicine doctor, the prairie, the prairie little house on the prairie medicine
On the
doctor.
prairie.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I should start a podcast, John, if you want to put me on your network. I have homesteadnetwork.net. That's my website. And I'm helping gather resources across the country and across the globe so that, if you move to, I don't know, Cheyenne, Wyoming, where are your people? Well, if you're in the network, then you already know who your people are.
That's right.
They're there.
Well, Amy, what the heck? One more show. It'll be the fourth show. So it's like, I'm not doing nothing. I don't have a part-time masonry job anymore. But I do want to say this is our 176th show.
Wow.
That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, what do we get? When we get to 206, that's 3 years worth. No, that's more than
And that's
that.
when the royalties start, right?
Yeah, they're kicking in. I can tell.
Yeah.
You know what? We're getting more viewers, and you just never know. I mean, we got to pay our dues.
Oh, wait a minute. Come on. Let's do predictions for the convention.
Okay.
Oh.
Ooh,
I'm going to abstain since
I'll go out on. I'm going to go out on a limb. Todd Rokita's going to win.
I wanted to ask Micah if he was cool with that because nobody's running against. What about the competition?
But he's cool with it because Todd's supporting him. So
yeah,
but it's what's
imagine
interesting.
That I can't. Oh,
what's interesting is Diego, who came in the same way that Micah's coming in, is not supporting Micah.
No, Diego's gunning for something with Trump. Like he's
something. That's a whole nother show. That's for sure. But yeah, so we're doing well, and I think that we're holding up to our what the spirit of the show when I started it. We have different opinions. We respect the ones that don't. We still have some people that are not that don't agree with the majority of our viewers here, and we put their comments on there. So I think we're holding up our end of the bargain here. We're not hypocrites. And again, I thank you guys
for that, John. That's
I appreciate you guys coming on here, because as we know, we're not getting paid, and it's we take some time on Tuesday night to try to put our stuff out there. So anyway, if you listen to Rob Kendall tomorrow, I don't know what time I'm recording it at 8:30. It's not going to be pretty much a little bit what I talked about, but I think that the group of people that are dissatisfied is growing. And I definitely think that the Republican Party is stepping on their tongue. I'm going to say that about all they really have to do is reach out and talk to these people. A perfect example would be Cassie. This experiment, I know, like I said, Tiffany's cringing a little bit, but
actually my contact is dry, to be honest.
okay, yeah, that is.
Oh no, 100%.
But you think about it, you think about it. If I would never talk to her or whatever, and people say, well, you're giving her a platform, but she's telling you who she is on that platform. And I'm going to tell you one thing: if somebody comes after me,
on that platform, she's telling people who she is. But on other platforms, she spends a lot of time telling people who she thinks they are.
Yeah, but I know, but it's
you have to understand that it may be what she talks about on the show, but there's the things that she's doing outside of the show that shapes people's ideas about her.
Right.
And whether or not she should have a larger platform, because she doesn't spew a lot of love on her Facebook page toward people. Well, toward everyone. So
yeah, and I for some reason she has the respect. I don't know if it's for me or if it's appreciation or whatever, not to do that. And she doesn't cuss on the show. I mean, you look at
but that is very different from what she puts on Facebook.
Right. And I don't know. I mean, it's just very interesting. But I would say that if somebody comes after me, she will burn their house down. I know. So, I mean, would you rather have somebody hating you, or would you rather have somebody in your corner? But you don't want to.
That depends on what side of her you're on. So there you go.
Oh, I know that. I've seen the other side of things.
You know what? I put cameras on my house. So so I'm not going to.
Yeah, I know. It's not your cup of tea.
You have to be consistent. If you're going to be an angel everywhere.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. And see, it's fair game. And that's the kind of discussion that we encourage to have here. Just say, speak the truth, speak what's on your mind, and to the face.
But and then that's how sometimes, those candidates like Micah, when somebody tells you who they are and they show you who you are, you can't be surprised. And then we get a lot of people out there. You're like, wow, I didn't see that coming. Well, you didn't take the opportunity to really get to know them and understand them, and they didn't come with their personalities and values and ideas on their sleeve, because he does. He wears his armor, and exactly who Micah is and what he believes in.
And I do think that he's going to be true to the Constitution. I think there's some people that can they realize their job, and I think he learned a lot in the library board about people, about procedure, about things, and I tell people
he learned how to make like a giant cutout of something that he deemed pornographic.
Well, I know, but I mean, I think he would handle the situation differently going forward. So,
I hope, but that's like what we have as evidence too of him in that kind of a role, and I don't think that was a good.
So, but Micah's true to the Constitution, and so whatever you feel about
until he gets the legislature to change the Constitution.
Nope.
Micah would do that. That's the process.
But the policy was constitutionally sound, so that was very true to who he is. He has a faith-based approach, and we found a constitutionally sound way of reviewing books. So you can't say that that's outside of who Micah is.
No, you guys changed the policy to get the way that you wanted to do it.
You can't say that.
And I could see him changing the Indiana State Constitution to do the same thing.
We're talking about Micah. That's a very consistent representation of who he is, abiding by the Constitution to enact policy and legislation that helps shape the future. And it was true to the Constitution, and that's who Micah says he is. That's all I'm saying.
I think Micah's quest is to get that constitution to be changed in order to do what he wants.
Ooh, boy, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about that one, Brad. I don't think that he's, he may want to make some changes, but I don't think it's that it would be that drastic.
And it would be
trying to change the
impossible.
We never
constitution.
do. Like we were just talking about. Oh, I didn't see it coming.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I feel
Well,
like
I
we
mean,
have, like, a
hey,
right
you know what? We see
caution,
things like Denise Paul
Brad,
Hatch.
you're
Denise Paul Hatch.
fear-mongering.
She got
You're
elected as
fear-mongering, Brad.
Oh
You're
my
afraid.
God.
You're afraid that Micah's gonna win, and the sun's not gonna come up, and water's not gonna flow, and gravity's gonna go away. The
I don't
Earth's
see
gonna
all
start
that.
spinning in the other direction. I mean,
Well,
you
now maybe
can
that.
talk
Maybe
I mean,
that's
Lucy called it out too. Like those who
Well,
seek
I did,
power.
and
It's like,
now that I've called it out and stirred that up, I'm going to say something that is in Micah's favor, which is he has a long history of being in the public eye. So we have a lot of examples of good behavior from Micah. We have
poor
examples
behavior
of
too,
him
though.
standing up to Leviathan, and believing that it was the right thing to do. Now, I'm gonna split hairs on this one because of where the law is, but he did help people who were concerned about their religious freedoms, by writing them letters and signing them as their pastor or whatever, so that they could avoid the COVID.
he did it for my
Happening.
daughter. He did it for my
There you
daughter.
go.
And it's
Now,
like,
strictly speaking, of course, the law doesn't require that, but the problem is it's not what the law is, it's what people perceive it to be. And so that seeming authority with his signature on it was enough to allow some people to escape bodily harm and likely death from being jabbed. So we do know that he's willing to stick himself out there on an issue
For his
where he
beliefs.
is almost against, yeah, where he's almost against the whole world.
well,
But
and he could
those
have been
beliefs aren't
wrong too. I
necessary.
mean, just think if he was wrong,
He's
how
willing
that
to
would have
go
worked
against
out.
everybody.
Yes. And that's both good and bad.
And
But
he wants to be in a position of power.
But the thing is that there's the whole elected part of it. You can't assume power. I mean,
Yeah, 1,800 Republican delegates elect
if
this.
the majority of the delegates think that he represents their values and ideas, then he will be elected to represent the people. That's how these
people are in
elections
Indiana?
work. Nobody stands up.
Tiffany, how many people are in
"You mean
Indiana?
I'm president. You
7
find
million.
someone who's currently reflecting the electorate, and they vote for that person, and that person represents the majority of the ideas of the people.
So you're telling me 1,800 people are going to decide the fate of 7 million?
Well, but I
50
think that
plus
see,
one.
go to this just allows them to go to the November election, but they.
Correct. I know, but
we know what's
you know
going
what
to
I
happen
mean.
there. I mean, the lieutenant governor for the Democrats is in the hospital now with having kidney problems, and Lucy, you could probably help him with some herbs and spices and potions.
absolutely nettle, stinging nettle.
Well, he does. I mean, he's going to have to go on. Now I don't want to get too personal,
Stinging
but
nettle is reportedly so powerful, and I'm not going to claim this for myself because I've never used it for this. But when you hear, little memory devices about different herbs or, things like that, stinging nettle is said to be so powerful that people who are on the verge of dialysis can avoid dialysis if they use it.
I'll take him some
very
nettle
powerful.
tea. Is that another one where you take it and put hot water on it for 10 minutes and drink it?
Literally. And
Really?
the other
Is it
thing
like
about
sting
stinging,
your neck?
nope. In fact, I would go out, at my old home. I was so privileged to have stinging nettle, like a bird pooped there, and the stinging nettle came up, so which is awesome. I would take the raw leaves and I would roll them up so that the hairs were on the inside, because the juice from the nettle itself, the sap, I guess, would actually neutralize the stinging part of it. So I would just roll the leaves up on themselves, and then I would just chew the leaves raw in my garden. I would forage and eat, and
Now you
I'm
didn't
kind
eat
of
the
weird
ones
like
with the
that.
bird poop on them, like you said, right?
I didn't, because
It's
you could
that.
tell. You could
It's
tell.
that. It's a little chalky. I'm sorry. I don't know by
Yeah,
experience,
stinging
but
nettle is you can use it as a spinach substitute, throw it in your whatever soup you're cooking. You could fry it up like greens. I mean, it helps people, helps men who are losing their hair. Um, and the different parts of a plant will have different properties. Yeah, so the
wow,
aerial
they're
part
easy to
will
find.
use.
Just go to like around a creek. They like creeks and they
Oh
like
yeah.
water. You just run through there until it starts stinging. Then you know you're in them because they will light you
And
up.
the stinging is good for you. The
Oh
stinging
yeah,
is
I
actually good
loved
for
it.
you.
I always loved it when
I
I
did.
got. They
Well,
call it
I'm
minute
mirrored.
weed too. Minute
I
weed
would
because
I
it
would
burns
do
for a minute.
this. Run my hands up and down my stinging nettle plant, because of the neurotransmitters. I think there's 7 different neurotransmitters that are actually activated through those stinging nerves.
That sounds
Well,
like a
that's-
prank a
yeah,
big
that's
sister
like-
would try.
I just take
you
a
know?
hammer and smash my hand with it just
There
to
are
make me
people
feel
that take the whole plant and flail themselves with it to get all those neurotransmitters. It's really, really great. People that
As-
say that they have
The
our
next time I see
dance.
my brother, I'm gonna just whip the crap out of him. with
Yeah,
it.
as
You
we
should have
dance
said,
to
"I'm
the
healing you,
masochism
for you."
tango. That's it. All right,
we've-
this show
See ya.
has officially gone into the
Oh my God.
middles.
Yeah, now we don't have to have our post-show conversation. We're
Yeah,
good.
we're good. Yeah, so we're just going to end it, and I thank you guys. Let me take
Have
the
a
banner
wonderful
off
night,
here.
everybody.
Hey, you guys are great. Next week we're going to have we got the Jen Pace caucus coming up on that next Saturday. So we're going to have the District 7 candidates on there. I may be one of those. So
Ooh.
I may have to
Can
have
we
Tiffany.
have Mr. Borka back on at some point?
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Well, and the other thing is,
I felt bad about
I'm going to record Cassie's show on Sunday after the convention. So she's either going to be crying if Micah wins, or she's going to be like in her cheerleader suit. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, Joseph is, he's sharp, and he just researches this stuff. He was just critical with our data guy. He had the Google spreadsheet and everybody's names and all that stuff. It's great.
I do love that about him, like people like him and people like Micah, where they rattle the cage. It's just like, I don't like the cage, but they rattle the crap out of it, and it's great to watch.
You like
so,
it. Well,
Yeah,
that's
you
what
said something positive about Mike.
Cage.
Oh, yeah, no,
there's a
Stephanie,
group.
get out of here.
Isn't there a group called Cage the Elephant? So that's what maybe we should play that as our theme. So, all right. Well, hey, we had 60 people live tonight on just this part of it. So it's going far and wide. And, Joseph did put out the 1,800 text messages to the people. So I think that gained us some people, and there'll be people watching afterwards.
Yeah.
And then after Saturday, it'll be all over. And then also, if you want to learn some more about Joseph on Thursday, we'll do the question and answers on this, 8:00 right here on our station, or whatever you want to call this thing. So thanks a lot, everybody. Who's going to Tiffany, you're going to the convention, right?
Correct.
Are you going on Friday night too?
I got a ticket to Zubu.
Oh, well, I'd rather go to that, but I'm going to both nights. I'm actually volunteering. That's because I didn't get elected state delegate. Who would want me deciding anything? So, but all right, let's get to the end of the show. I'll see y'all next week. No post show thing. Lucy's falling asleep.
Well, I have something to tell you.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm so tired.
What's that?
I want to talk to you, John.
Okay, so everybody else is going away, but you guys can't listen. Okay,
fine.
Listen. All right. See how.
Hey, I'm out of here. Bye.
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 Bye, guys.
Yeah.